Welcome to Perceptions Today podcast, where we discuss consciousness in all forms. February 2022, episode 15, Myron Dyal joins us for Guided by Intuition Roundtable Part 4 of 4. Myron is a mystic, artist, musician, and has visions connected to TLE.
Anthony and I have had a lot of talks about that, and one of the reasons that he was attracted to me was because that I see my own daemon, as he calls it, and interface with it, and it's a very big part of my life. And I don't know, by talking to him and over the years, he hasn't said that he gets a direct feed from his daemon, but
This is an instance of the conversation coming up in the roundtable discussion. Participants knew it was being recorded.
No, but that just brings the point home in that sense. And that, sometimes it's, for me, in my opinion, sometimes it's better to concentrate more on the effect and what to do with it as opposed to the cause, because you do know what the cause is. And you can spend a lot of time there. If let's say sometime you're reminded of it, and there's a little part which you obviously, Colin has pointed out to you in some ways at some time. So, you don't really need to think about that in terms of, what's next. It's, to me, that's the only way that I've muddled through my journey, no matter what pathway I've taken. And it's not always the one I figured I'm supposed to be on. And sometimes I'm directed away, just like you are, and forced to go in that direction. And that's fine. I'm trusting. And I think that's the most important thing.
yeah, I don't pick the path. I just follow what Karen says and leads me to. And I've been doing that for so long. And since it's produced nothing but positive fruit, then, that's proof enough that it's efficacious, that it's there for positive transformation and no other reason. And that alone is its own reward. Just it isn't me obeying a higher power. It's me obeying the power inside of everything. And I think that's a better way of saying it than saying, oh, I'm obeying Jesus or God or Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva or whatever manifestation. They all consider those things in Hebrew. The Hindus all believe those are all illusion anyway. And then it just gets you to nirvana, and then all of them go away. And I think that's pretty much the way it is. We're all looking to get to that door, and we use whatever path we need to get to that door, and that's another metaphor. And then you open the door, and that's it. You're in cosmic consciousness, and all of these dualisms are gone. They just go away. Because there's no you can't have a dualism. You can't have an up and down, right, left. You just can't do it. And I think that's what physicists are having trouble with. But the fact is that once you're just pure energy, you're just pure energy, pure thought. I like the metaphor, the pure thought in the mind of God. But I don't like to use the word God, but I'm using it because that's a quote. So somebody said it. And I feel like I'm a pure thought in the cosmic consciousness. That I have always existed and I will always exist in cosmic consciousness, but not an ego, not Myron Dyal. Myron Dyal will die. And when he's dead, he'll be in a box. But I wasn't going to do this. Anyway, Anthony's going to get really upset if I go too far into this theory. Anyway, the point of it is that if you're already part of cosmic consciousness, there's no duality. There's no place to go. There's no life. There's no death. You're already there. I'm already home. Home is where you are. So I'm already home. There's no place to go. There's no journey to take. Once you achieve cosmic consciousness, and I'm not saying that I have done that, I'm just saying that once you do, it's forever, whatever that means. These words that we use have archetypal labels to them, but they're just words, okay? Experience is experience, but it can be deceptive too. But if you are in the unity of consciousness, there is no doubt, fear, anger, love, hate, life, death, any opposite of any kind. There can't be. So in my mind, I'm already there. You know, I'm already home. You know, I'm already part of the eternal. And you can kill me, I can die tonight of sudden death epilepsy syndrome. So what? You know, it doesn't make any difference now. Because now isn't important. Now is now. And now is forever. It's forever. What we're saying here today, we're going to be saying forever. It never will ever go away. It's on like a recorder. I don't know how else to say it. And so it's going to go on and on and on. And this conversation will go on and on and on, like those spacecrafts that are still going out past Pluto. They'll just go on and into the dark matter of space. And that's where we're, you know, but this conversation will always be because it already has been. And it is now. So I'm getting really metaphysical here, but I think
it's definitely like playing in a sandbox, isn't it? You're playing around with toys, and then once you step out of that, you're into the final kind of stage of your single consciousness. I mean, one day I need to get a load of people together and have the conversation which I always love to have with people is I want to find out the origin point, because as far as I know, and again, this is 2022, January, you can't get something from nothing, and you need more than two things to cause a reaction to create something new. So where did you get those things in the first place? Because otherwise everything's kind of a real paradox. And that's one of my favorite ones to think about.
Yeah, I was watching a podcast on that from a physicist.
And this has been annoying me since childhood, because ever since people said there's a box and the universe is contained, you go, but what's on the outside of the box? And where did that come from?
And who made the box?
Yeah, and who made the box? And even, you know, they like to play around with that. The new word is simulation. So if it's a simulation, where's the man sitting, who's the Wizard of Oz sitting there making the simulation work? You know, I mean,
and who supplied the power to it? That's the other thing, because there's all the bits and pieces that need it.
You know, I mean, if we're all living in the Matrix, then who's creating the Matrix? You know, I mean, on and on. You might as well be saying God's doing it. What's the difference? You know, there's a book called The Cloud of Unknowing. I don't know if any of you know it, but
I haven't heard of that. I'm going to have to look it up.
Well, that particular group refused to use the word of God, to call God God, to use that word, period. Because every time you say that word, it has all of these meanings that are archetypal in everybody's mind, and they're all different. So they refused to use that word in their meditations and in their discussions. And it's all in a book called, well, I think that was the title, the Cloud of Unknowing. I think that's the title of the book.
Nope, you bang on. You got the right title. Yep, I've put the link into the chat box here.
Oh, okay.
So it was anonymous author, according to this, published in the UK, and Spiritual Guide to Contemplative Prayer, Christian Mysticism, late 14th century.
Yeah, that's it. That's the book.
I've put the Wikipedia bit in there. And when they spell unknowing, because it's 14th century,
right,
just as you get to the W, there's no I, it's a Y.
right. Yeah, that's right. And
I think,
go ahead.
sorry,
Lawrence.
Wild Eyes, I thought Shadow Fox had an additional question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna have to bow out here for I have a few things, like I gotta get some dinner ready for for my husband. But it has been an honor to be a part of this, truly. And Paul, thank you so much. And Myron, it's been everybody here, Wild Eyes, thank you so very much. It has been an honor to be of service. Thank you.
It was great meeting you, and blessings to you forever.
Yes, blessings to all. Thank you.
It was
you,
a pleasure.
Thank you, Wild Eyes.
Always
We'll meet
great to
soon.
talk to you, or even tomorrow at the next one.
Yes,
Lined up back to back.
I know, but if there's anything that I can help with or contribute, or if I can always lend a hand somewhere. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. I will definitely be talking to you about further chats.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, and have a good dinner.
Good night.
Thank you.
How long have we been doing this?
Bye. Well, we're coming up for just over 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
You haven't really sort of taken a breath at the moment, which is great, and you don't seem to be flagging, which is good.
No, I'm gonna have to eat here pretty soon, but.
Oh yeah, I know. We'll probably wind it down. I'm just going to see if anybody else would like to put a few questions or say anything to Myron.
Now's the time.
Is there anybody else? Oh, there's just two up.
Miro. There's also, I'm going to get his name wrong. Let me have a quick go. Anexi. Yeah. I don't know if he wants to say anything. He might not be able to, because he might be doing other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So
vacuuming or something.
Always good to listen to information while you're vacuuming and other bits and pieces.
Alexei, can I ask a question?
They do that. No,
sure.
And I go, how can you do that? And it's like, well, they're in the other room. When you're in the other room and you're vacuuming, how can you hear what's going on? It's like, okay, whatever. It's their world.
Will Myron Dyal share his music?
Huh? Say again?
I think he was asking about sharing your music somewhere.
Oh. I have
on Twitter or Facebook.
It's on YouTube. I have music on YouTube and a little bit on not YouTube, on iCloud. That's where the most of the music is. There's string quartet and an octet and a bunch of piano pieces and a score for a play called Come Before Winter, which was about the Apostle Paul in he was in prison getting ready to be executed. Which is just the text is just Second Timothy.
Another question: do you dream music or you compose it?
I hear it all the time. I can't turn it off. I hear music all the time. It just never goes.
So you logically compose your pieces that are not the music that you hear all the time.
No, because the music that I hear all the time is more like sonorous, like sounds, just like humming, like they were talking about before, like the monks do when they in Tibet. They're looking for certain frequencies, whereas the music.
It's not migraine tinnitus. It's not tinnitus.
No, it's not.
It's hallucinations.
No.
Okay.
No, they're definitely hallucinations, and the musical ideas that I get. My degrees are in composition, and so I was trying to write music to represent my visions, and it just didn't work. And my composition teacher, for my master's degree, he said, "Hey, why are you here writing music? If you see visions, why don't you go over to the art department? Why are you writing music about something that's visual?" And so I kind of, I was going to make my living as a violinist and a violist, and I was hurt in the military, and that was taken away from me. and it was replaced by art. And I was never an artist. I just started. Caron said, get a journal and start working, and I did, and it turned into a whole career. But my love is really music. And that's where I don't look at a lot of artists. I listen to music constantly, either in my head or over whatever device I can find. And I almost never turn it off. I mean, it's kind of like my life has a score to it. And I'm listening to that score all the time. And I can't shut it up. I mean, even when I was in the military, when we were marching, I was singing. And the sergeant would say, Dyal, will you shut up? Stop singing. Oh, okay. I didn't even realize I was doing that. And music and the vibration of music and the sonority of music is so strong in my brain that it penetrated this coma that I was in when I was 4, and it was the only thing that did. But it's actually another part of the brain, so that's part of the reason. But yeah, music is a constant thing in my head, but it's not what you said. It's not that hallucination.
Just for the people that are listening later on, your music is on soundcloud.com and /Myron-Dyal. So
Right.
if anybody else wants to listen to that at some point.
And there's some on YouTube, regular YouTube, but not much, just some piano pieces that I've written. But,
it's very easy to find with your own artwork as well attached to it, so it's very identifiable on SoundCloud.
Yeah, so. Yeah. It gives you an example of what I did and what I wrote and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of music I never put it up. Anyway, that answers your question. That's music to me is almost life itself. I mean, I just live inside those sounds. And I don't care whether it's Japanese music or Indian music or Chinese music or Bali. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's quarter tones, eighth of a tone, half step, full step, whatever. It affects my being and causes me to have visions. So I hope that answers your question. I think he went away.
I can hear him walking around. I might be going back to the microphone, but that's.
Sorry. I'm turning off my microphone. I thought you already made it mute. Okay. Thanks.
That's okay. It's not a problem. You found the link that I've put in the chat, yeah?
Yeah. I have another question. Can I ask it?
Yeah, sure.
Do you think there are other people with daemons or currents? Can you perceive them if you are near them? Like if you are near Anthony Peak, do you perceive his daemon?
Anthony and I have had a lot of talks about that. And one of the reasons that he was attracted to me was because that I see my own daemon, as he calls it, and interface with it. And it's a very big part of my life. And I don't know, by talking to him and over the years, he hasn't said that he gets a direct feed from his daemon, but I think sometimes he does, and sometimes he gets it in dreams. And sometimes I think he gets it in his own way of dealing with this matrix, as he calls it. And he's a pretty remarkable man, and his ideas are interesting, and you can see that they don't exactly correlate with all of what I say, but that's not important. What's important is that he has his destiny, and he has his place to go and his things to do, and I completely support everything that he does. And I have mine, and sometimes they coincide, like he liked the idea that I had a daemon and that I interfaced with it from childhood. And then he put that in his books. And I was very, very flattered that he did that. And so, you know, he's on his journey, I'm on mine, and there's no judgment either way. You know, he's got his agenda, and his agenda, I wouldn't want to even attempt to convince the scientific community that you have this new idea. Good luck, just good luck, because they're closed up and they're not. You know, they didn't listen to Einstein, for God's sake, or to Louis Pasteur. I mean, they called him an idiot, a fool. So, you know, to convince the scientific community of anything, well, I just wish you all the luck in the world. But it's going to be one hell of a ride to get that done. But I don't know how to do that. I'm not about that. I'm a mystic, and my life is all about perception and all about experience and all about truth and the universe. And that's where I live. That's where I think. That's where I be. That's where I walk around, and that's where I'll always be. So he and I differ on. We have similarities that work, and we have differences. Our approaches.
Do you think there are other people with daemons or currents?
He thinks there are, and I do too. I think that most people just deny that they exist. You know, that they'll blow it off. You know, they say, well, you know, I got drunk and I saw this thing, or they say I had this dream and this you know, they just blow it off. And you have to. I think that if you have a brain injury like I did, it opens the doors of perception for some reason. And it's not clear why that is true. It is true, though. And in my case, it opened the door to Charon right from the beginning, right from when I was 4 years old. So I didn't have to go through the meditation and the introspection and all that stuff that most people have to do to even find their daemon or anything that's like it, or their companion, like Jung would say. I didn't have to do any of those things. Charon came to me when I was 4 and has never left. So, you know, it's been 74 years. So I never had to struggle to produce it, but I also have a damaged brain. I have scar tissue in my hippocampus and the visual memory of the hippocampus, and that produces images, and it produces cosmic visions. It just does. And you can say that, well, I'm lucky, or you can say that I'm unlucky, but the fact is it just does, and then I just deal with it. And so it gave me this way into, like most shamans are epileptic. That's pretty well known. And epilepsy affects almost 2% of the population of the world. That's
again. There's also religious leaders as well, isn't there? There's quite a lot as well.
Absolutely. Saint Paul was an epileptic. That thing on the road to Damascus where he loses his vision, that's a classic seizure right there. I mean, that's exactly what happens when you have some kinds of seizures, depending on where they are located. So shamanism and epilepsy have been going together forever. You know, it's only in Western culture that people are burned at the stake for being epileptic. But
Dostoevsky had epilepsy, if you know.
What?
Russian writer. Do you know Dostoevsky?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read everything he ever wrote. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Again,
I have no questions.
He was a wonderful writer, and of course, there's an epileptic in every story that he wrote.
The double.
And asked if he would give it up. He said no, he does not want to give it up, because the what they call the pre-seizure that he had was so transformative and magic and wonderful that and even though after he had this pre-seizure, he had a grand mal or tonic-clonic, he wouldn't want to. He said, "I would never give it up because I would never want to give up that other feeling." So I'm not looking for a cure. You said that in the notes of the underground, I think.
Because that's really part of you, isn't it? Because I mean, whether it's you got a special ability or where you not okay. So if you got a special ability or you got a disability, not you, but everybody, and sometimes if you take that away, not that you identify with it, but it's part of you that you've had for such a long time that you've learned new things through it. And if you had it taken away, you'd lose those kind of bits and pieces. It's a kind of strange teetering point of benefit, isn't it?
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah, it is. It is. You know, I I was watching a podcast from maybe you know this guy, Dr. Roland Griffiths at John Hopkins.
I'm not familiar, not yet.
Well, he did some very, very, very intense studies with people who take mushrooms, and over many years, and to leave out all the details, you can look it up online because it's all over. It's all over YouTube. Every single person, whether they had a positive or negative experience on mushrooms, they were different and stayed that way. That's the important way. That's the important part. In a year, when he talked to them again, they still felt no fear of death. They felt that life had a meaning. They felt that life was bigger than they were, all because they had this experience with this controlled experiment with mushrooms. Now, this was John Hopkins. This is no small place. John Hopkins found a cure for epilepsy that had nothing to do with medicine, and called the ketogenic diet. Dr. Freeman found it when I was first working with Jim Abrams, who did Airplane and Hot Shots. We were doing a film together that Meryl Streep was in. And
I have to just pause you there. I actually was talking before you turned up about Airplane and about the comedy bit of every time they were taking the radio and using a bloke's name to sign off with. And then I was mentioning the fact about you and radio communications in the army. So that's quite a wild synchronicity that I was telling Wild Eyes beforehand.
Yes, it is. That's funny. I guarantee you that Jim does not do comedies anymore. I mean, and he comes across a book called The Ketogenic Diet, Blind Studies, 1935. So he picked it up and he looked at it and he brought it up to that at John Hopkins. There was a doctor, Jim Freeman, who had this program called the Ketogenic Diet Program. He took him to John Hopkins. Jim Freeman put him on the diet and his seizures stopped, okay?
Wow.
That they wouldn't use a holistic approach. They would just use medicine. On the podcast that we did where we showed my movie and he was the host, I was saying, you know what you did, Jim? You saved your son's life. That's what you did. You took him to John Hopkins and you saved his life. Charlie is fine. He's a grown-up now. He's smart. He's really articulate. He's totally recovered. All because Jim found this book down in the bowels of UCLA about, and the book had double-blind studies in it, and they still were rejecting it because they wanted to use medication. And when he took him to John Hopkins, I swear to God, in 2 weeks or 3, his seizures began to die out, and then they just went away. Now, what the diet does is it creates ketosis. And ketosis is what controls how the seizures work. And the oldest remedy for epilepsy is starvation. If you fast, your seizures will diminish.
So is there something to do with the fat content which causes issues then?
Yeah, I think it does. And unfortunately, there's many, many kinds of epilepsy. And there used to be just grand mals and what they call tonic-clonic today. And where, drop seizures, where it's dramatic. You see the person to go stiff and fall and foam at the mouth and all that. Well, there's like 5 or 6 other kinds of seizures that I have, like I have complex partial and simple partial seizures. Those are completely different. You don't lose control of your body, but your perceptions are completely altered. And they're just, it's only in the last 25 years that they've made any progress at all in dealing with epilepsy. And there are more epileptics than any other neurological illness in the world. That includes Alzheimer's, all of them, MS, all of them. Because there was this prejudice against, I call it the black cat syndrome. There was a prejudice against people with epilepsy because of the scriptures in the Bible that says the epileptic was demon possessed. That when I was with the Epilepsy Foundation, we got the Archdiocese to remove that. The Catholic Archdiocese Pope, the Pope said, take that out of the Bible. That's not true. Epilepsy is not demon possession. So take it out. So they finally took it out. And they don't teach that anymore. All that came because of one man, Jim Abrams. One man, the guy who did Airplane and Hot Shots and all those other movies. The name of the movie about Charlie is First Do No Harm, which is the beginning of the Hippocratic Oath. And you can see it on YouTube. It's on YouTube. And it tells the whole story that I just told you. And I helped write that script. So I was very involved in making of that film.
Well, hopefully a lot of people get to see that so that they can actually possibly help others that go through those kind of conditions. I mean, obviously, I've heard obviously about absence seizures, which are just for fractions of seconds and things, but obviously don't feel that way internally. But you never know what you might be suffering.
Yeah, you got
an individual.
You got Meryl Streep to star in it, and because she loved Charlie so much, but she virtually did it for almost nothing. So, and they shot it in Canada, and because of this one man, the world has changed. There is now a ketogenic diet program in every hospital all over the world. And before Jim, there was only one at John Hopkins. That's it. So that brings me back to the consciousness thing with this guy, Roland Griffith, who did this controlled study. He got the FDA and everybody to approve doing this study about mushrooms and cosmic and consciousness and how it changes consciousness and how people react. And they approved it. The hospital approved it, and the data is in. And he talks about it candidly and online. And he's got quite a few YouTube presentations on this mushroom experience that the people come to him and keep saying, yeah, I still feel the same way I did a year ago. My whole being has changed and completely changed. And because it expands your consciousness. That's why it changed. We get locked down with all of this propaganda that we have to deal with. People telling us what's real and what's not real. And then when you're open, you stay open.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there is a researcher called Penny Sartori who looks into near-death experiences, and with her friend, Kelly Walsh, she wrote a book called The Transformative Power of Near-Death Experiences and How the Message of NDEs Positively Impact the World. And again, the book is based on a person goes through the event, they come out the other side of it, their perceptions change, their viewpoints change. Sometimes if they're materialistic, they kind of drop that idea entirely. And then they go back and check on them later on over a period of time, and years and kind of things, and they're still the same way. It's such eye-opener that this kind of reality is not the only reality, and it's not a delusional viewpoint.
That's right.
It's a fascinating book to read if anyone hasn't read it.
Well, it looks like we're down to just a few of us, so
we can wind it up if you want, if there's any last questions. I know that friend of ours, as in Cosmic Librarian, she just messaged me and said, obviously, she had such a great time. And at some point, she would like the opportunity to have a chat with you.
Oh, sure.
And obviously, I can either pass her through to your Facebook or your website.
Yeah, put them all through Facebook, because that's an easy way for me to connect with people really quick.
Okay.
Myron, will it matter? I'm sorry, I just need to cut in before I forget. Will it matter? I don't have a Facebook account. Does that matter? Or is it through?
One of the other ways would be Instagram, if you got an Instagram account, because Myron Dyal is on Instagram.
Yeah.
No, I don't have Instagram either.
Do you have a pigeon and a piece of paper?
Raven's coming right over, okay?
Hey, I'll take a raven anytime.
Stand by.
Maybe you could just create an account or for Facebook with nothing really in it and just have that as a connection point.
Yeah, you can, and you don't have to add anything to it. They're proud of it. They saved the life of so many children. I just can't, the list is endless. And another diet that works is the Atkins diet. That's another one. All of a sudden, people were on this Atkins diet to lose weight, and then their seizures started to slow down. And they couldn't figure out why. So they went to Jim and they said, I'm taking this Atkins, I'm on this Atkins diet. Well, it's another, high-fat diet that causes ketosis. And it starts slowing down the brain chemistry, which slows down your seizure. The mind and the brain. The brain is a very, very complex thing, and the mind is really complex. So I know that there's a big fight over the dualism of all that, but we're not going to get into it.
That would go on for a long time.
It has been going on for a long time.
Well, I have to say, it's just been fantastic. What I will do is, any more questions before we wrap this up and then wrap up? Thanking Myron.
Yeah, anything at all. And then I really appreciate the format and putting up with all the hassle of getting in and all that stuff. Thank you so much.
I'm keeping that in. That's okay. I'll take praise. I'll keep that in. We'll cut some of the other stuff.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. No.
that was the negative gods trying to block.
Is that what you call it? Yeah.
No, I don't call it
I can relate. Trust me.
But there is negative energy that tries to, that stops things. There's no question about it.
Oh, yeah.
In the last 4 or 5 days, it's just been one thing after another. And this was just sort of the icing on the cake. That's why I wanted to start a half hour earlier, because I had a feeling this was just going to be a nightmare to get into. And yet tonight, in less than 2 hours, I've got another meeting on Zoom. There's the gods again, ringing the bell.
Excellent.
You poor thing. I wish you luck on that. And thank you again so much for your time.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And I can't wait to do it again.
It's been a real pleasure. And yes, definitely we will schedule one with a nice, good topic and see if we can bring some of the people back, which I'm sure they will do from the way that they responded to yourself and the messages that they left as they were leaving. And they will definitely enjoy listening back to the content they've missed in between time.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, great. Well,
it's been a real honor. Thank you very much. I got to edit that bit out now. Hang on. I need a good ending. Can I have a nice gap and then we'll just go right?
Okay, let's all sing.
You're making it hard.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right. Thank you very much for everything you've done. And we will speak to you soon.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful format, a wonderful discussion. Everybody was great. Blessings and good night.
Goodbye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Love to
it was great evening. I was listening and I just I'm creating some little concept for consciousness, how I understand it, and this helped me a lot. So thank you very much.
I'm keeping that in as well for you.
Yeah, you can keep that in.
I was going to hit the stop button, but Miro was saying nice things. I wasn't going to stop him at that point.
You want the commercial stuff.
But I don't. It is too late for you, so I don't want to. I would have few words, but I don't want to keep it too long. So let's just end it. Next time maybe. But it's up to you. I have just for me, it's just 7:00. So I'm still okay. But I think in London it's a little bit later.
Yes, it is, Miro.
Yeah, it must be.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Must be very late there. Okay.
A new day. Right.
It is.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.
And I will speak to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, good
Goodbye,
night.
everybody. Wild Eyes, Brian. Goodbye, everybody.
night.
Goodbye, Miro.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
I'm
and
keeping that in.
good luck.
I'm definitely keeping that bit in.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I go out.
To help our research and understanding, leave Perceptions Today's podcast reviews, subscribe to the podcast, along with the other social media accounts, and share. Come and join our live events. That way we can get together and have thoughtful discussions along with advancing our understanding of concepts as we go along.